the Taurus Tracker and 44 Magnum. Let's go inside and check it out. Welcome back to Shooting It Straight. Yes, sir, the old Taurus Tracker 44 Magnum. Today we're starting a short series regarding revolvers, which was actually recommended by a viewer. And you know, out of the 80-something videos that I've done, this is my very first video featuring the old wheel gun. Now, my good buddy and custom rifle builder, Mitchell, was kind enough to loan me his Tracker 44 for this video, so thank you, Mitchell. Now, before we get into the details of this Taurus 44 here, let's just spend a minute just glossing over revolvers in general. Now, I'm no stranger to revolvers. You know, I was issued a Smith & Wesson Model 65 and 357 for the first several years of my law enforcement career, as did nearly all cops in my region during the mid-1980s. And I carried that old 65 with great confidence, and it served me very well. Now, it's important to know or to recall that in those times, the semi-autos weren't quite as well designed and reliable as they are today, with the possible exception of the Colt 1911s, some of them, and the Glock, which was not as well known then. So revolvers were the norm, and cops usually loaded those in the 357 Magnum or 38 Special plus P loads. As the design and engineering of semi-autos improved, well, law enforcement began to move toward the semi-auto, generally with Glocks, Smith & Wesson, or SIGs. And today, semi-autos are really the standard for both cops and civilians everywhere. So this has posed the question by many people over the years, and that question is this: are revolvers still relevant in today's world of self-defensive arms? Well, the answer to that is yes. Revolvers most definitely are still relevant. Why would they not be? Now, it's true, ammo capacity is reduced, but for nearly 3 decades now, study after study, and you've heard me say this before, has continued to show us that the average number of shots fired by a civilian defendant in a self-defense scenario has been and still is reported to be somewhere less than 5 shots on average in the vast majority of situations, even in multiple offender situations. Now, that data hasn't changed. So, you know, with this data, then, I think a logical conclusion may be reached that capacity alone, in and of itself, should not be the sole determining factor for handgun choices by the average citizen. You know, a 5 or 6 shot revolver has already proven to be most adequate for the majority of civilian self-defense uses. 5 shots or so, may allow you sufficient time and opportunity to escape or retreat from that danger, which should be a priority in most circumstances whenever you can. Now, I admit that personally I do prefer to carry a semi-auto whenever I leave the house, but it's not because of capacity concerns. Instead, it's due primarily to the much easier single action or striker type of a trigger pull, because I just don't have much hand strength for long, heavy double action pulls. And semi-autos are generally not as bulky and heavy when carrying concealed. And, you know, at my age and in my medical condition, this makes a significant difference. All right, now let's, why don't we go ahead and take a closer look at this Taurus Tracker and 44 Magnum. Now, I must confess that I don't have much experience with Taurus revolvers. Generally, I'm a big Smith & Wesson or a Ruger fan. But I don't want to dump a ton of money into a revolver because I really don't intend to carry a revolver on me or to shoot a revolver a lot. But I could use one for home defense. Now, as much as I love Smith & Wesson and Ruger revolvers, let's be honest. The prices today for those guns are absolutely absurd. All right. I just can't see paying $1,000 plus for any revolver, or any semi-auto for that matter. Still, I want to get a quality revolver, but at a decent price, and Taurus seems to deliver on both. All right, this is a, and I'll show you that we're working with an empty here. Okay. This is a medium-sized frame. Very similar in size to the Smith & Wesson K-frame. And, you know, it's weighing in at about 35 ounces. It sports a 4-inch barrel, 5-shot cylinder, and fully adjustable rear sights. Taurus does offer a 6-shot model in .44 Magnum. I think it's called the Raging Hunter. But you know, it's on a large frame and it's more expensive. It's got a wide, smooth face trigger, also known as a combat type trigger, which is my favorite. Double action trigger pull. And I don't have any snap caps, so I'm just going to do it once. Double action pull on here seems to me to be right at 10 pounds. The single action trigger pull seems to be about 5 pounds or so. That's just in my estimation. I don't have a trigger gauge. But I will tell you that on double action trigger pull, the trigger is smooth all the way through the pull. So I think it's got a great trigger. These hard rubber finger grooved set of grips is perhaps one of the most comfortable revolver grips I've ever used. And it's a major factor in my ability to better control my shooting. These are excellent grips, even if the grip screw is one of those big hex screws here on the base of the frame. And this one is a matte black oxide finish. It's all steel construction, although the website refers to it as alloy steel. But in reality, stainless steel is an alloy steel. But there is an alloy steel that's a little bit different, but you're not going to have a problem out of this. The barrel rifling has a 1 18 3/4 right hand twist rate with 5 grooves. It does have the transfer bar safety right here. You can see that. All right, where the flat part of the hammer here strikes the bar, strikes that transfer bar, and transfers the energy to the internal firing pin, which is why it's called a transfer bar. The barrel is ported, and it's got a bored out gas expansion chamber right here running the length of those ports. So it's bored out from here to here for gas expansion. Now, because of that, you only have about 3 inches of rifling. The rifling stops right here. So you've only got rifling from here to here. So you're going to get 3-inch ballistics as opposed to 4-inch, which really there's not a lot of difference anyway most of the time. And of course you can use .44 special ammo. you know, for lower cost target shooting and practice. The front sight has a really bright orange inset. All right, this is an inset. It's not an insert. It's an inset, which basically consists of a bright orange sticker. However, it does stand out, and you are able to quickly pick it up when you throw the gun up. I mean, it's right there. So I do like that. We talked about the adjustable rear sights. They're blacked out without any markings. And that's my preferred sight setup. Blacked out here and something bright and eye-catching for a front sight. The cylinder lockup seems really good and tight with almost zero end shake and very little, if any, rotational play, commonly referred to as cylinder slop. Now this is the way we want it. This is the way a cylinder should be. The barrel to cylinder gap or flash gap is pretty tight. Now I don't have a feeler gauge to give a precise measurement, so I used the corner of a sheet of paper, since standard paper is commonly 3 to 4 thousandths of an inch thick. And with a little bit of effort, that paper, I was able to stick that paper all the way through to the other side, just barely. So it's a very tight fit right here. Basically, as long as you can hold it up and see some light between the forcing cone and the cylinder face, you're good to go. You've got to have some gap in there. All right. The cylinder locks up to the frame. All right, to the frame at 2 points. One is this hole right back here in the center of the breech face, right here between the two recoil shields. All right, that captures this spring-loaded stud here in the center of the ratchets. That just slides right into there. And the way to unlock it is to depress and push forward the thumb piece. That pushes it out of that hole. Okay. And you also have a spring-loaded lug right here that makes up with a divot up in here. So that secures it there and here to here. And of course the rotation of it is locked by the cylinder stop down here. The cylinder stop right here. That's what locks it in, keeps it from spinning and turning, holds it steady for the firing pin. All right. The timing is in check. It seems to work just fine. Put a little pressure on it. All right, see how it locks before the hammer is in the full cock position? Now it's in full cock. Locked. Full cock. That's how it's supposed to be. Okay. You know, it handles well. It seems to be accurate and consistent, even when I'm not. All right. Let's talk very briefly about Taurus firearms in general, and then we'll go on to the final shot segment. Now, the following information comes directly from websites posted by Taurus. It's a lot of information that'll either clarify some things for you or confuse you even more. But I'll run through it very quickly. I may not get everything right here, but here's what I understand. And you may find some of this stuff interesting. Taurus was founded actually in 1924 as a tool and forging plant in Brazil, and it was known as Forjas Taurus S.A., South America. On November 17, 1939, it expanded to include the manufacture of plastics, body armor, helmets, civil construction, and other products involving metals, along with firearms in their Taurus Armas S.A. division. Now, Taurus Armas is based in Porto Alegre, Brazil, and it's a diversified international company and produced the company's first firearm in 1941, which was a Model 38 101 SO revolver, which was really a copy of the Smith & Wesson Model 10 M&P, which was originally designed in 1899. Taurus Holdings is owned by Taurus Armas S.A. and was formed in 1982 and was based in Miami, Florida until 2019. Now, Taurus Holdings then formed Taurus International Manufacturing Incorporated, TIMI, and in 2019, the operations moved from Miami to Bainbridge, Georgia, and you'll see that usually right here. Usually right there. Taurus Holdings owns several firearm brands currently available to the U.S. market, including Heritage Manufacturing, which it acquired in 2010, and it acquired the rights to produce Rossi firearms back in 1995. Heritage firearms are produced by Taurus USA. By 2020, 41% of all revolvers sold in the U.S. were from Taurus, and that figure reached 61% in 2022. Taurus produces rifles, shotguns, revolvers, semi-autos, machine guns or submachine guns, and even grenade launchers. Alright, here's the final shots. Honestly, the magnum loads in this 44 is just a little too much for me. Because I simply don't have the hand strength necessary to handle that anymore. So in my specific situation, I would prefer instead to load this up with a strong 44 special load for personal defense use if I were to use it for that. About the only negatives I can come up with is the high cost of the 44 ammo, whether it's the Magnum or the 44 Special. They're both expensive, and truthfully, I'm not really a fan of ported handguns. Although I will say it does help to mitigate muzzle rise somewhat, but it seems to redirect that energy into the recoil action, driving the grip hard into the palm with a little bit of sting, I might add. But with the ports, I also don't like getting blinded from additional flames flashing up right in my line of vision when I'm shooting in low light conditions. Now, that's not always the case, but it's more apt to happen with a ported gun than a non-ported gun. Otherwise, this is an absolutely great gun. It's well built. It's built like a tank. And it's a ton of fun to shoot. It is definitely worth the money. Alright, so I'm going to close this video out with a question for you. Since the .357 Magnum is my favorite caliber for a revolver, should I get a Taurus in .357? What do you think about that? Let me know in the comments. I'd like to thank Mitchell again, my buddy, for loaning me his Taurus 44. I tried to buy it from him. He won't sell it. I understand. But thanks for watching. I'm Antonius, and keep an eye out for more in this revolver series right here on Shooting It Straight. Ciao.